We're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. This is day 5. It is May 24th, 2025, and this is the last of our series, of this series, before we take an administrative leave. So welcome, everybody. And Joe's going to get started. I did send out a list of talking points. Hopefully you guys have all seen that and have had a chance to look through it. And we'll just go ahead and get started.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to the winding down of our first series with 10 weeks of hiatus or break, productive and constructive break, administrative leave before series 2. What you received about 10 hours ago were the follow-up questions for that was put forward. Some of them were touched upon pretty clearly, others were not. So what we sent over was kind of a to the period of each of those questions. Now we will, again, as we have been for series 1, entertain questions onto the as we transition over to the next slide, but we'll talk about what you see on the screen here. And that's really part 1.1 there. We will talk about, after the slide here, thumbnail, password protection, the authorization form, which I have on my other screen here. I'm going to pull up in just a moment. Kind of walk you guys through and what that looks like with regards to the common access badge, password protected professional bio that will be on the new site. A lot of folks have been waiting for that, so that's good. Series 1 or version 1 for the handbook is still in progress, and thanks to those who've been providing their feedback and utilizing their alternate liaison address that they put together. A lot of folks have been sending that forward. You're using those, for those who have provided them, you're sending them to the Ionis email. We're hoping that you send them to the pktf.liaison.feedback Proton email so that they marry together really well. We can expect to see precisely your inquiries, your feedback, your comments, inquiries, Proton to Proton. Okay, so, and I'll share that again in the comments. Kathy, if you have that, can you share that again in the comment section so everybody has that?
In the chat,
If you
yeah.
have it, yeah, if you utilize your email that we talked about 2 weeks ago, send your from your newly constructed Proton email to that email, liaison.feedback, instead of, my the one I'm receiving through Ionis. It helps to marry the two correspondence efforts together, client to client, those kind of things. All right, and that covers point 1. Is Louise on?
Yes, she
I think
is.
she is. Louise, let me just touch on 3 and 4 really quick, and I'll turn it over to you for point 2. Then I'll switch the screen and I'll pull up the authorization form, liaison authorization. So common access badges, that's hard and heavy, no nonsense, absolutely. Like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, letting everybody know, assuring them that will be completed. There's 3 that's going to go onto the site, password protected, next month, I'm sorry, at the beginning of next month. Boyd's is the one I'll show you guys today on screen, what that looks like, all of the details, all of the 9 specialized sections for your assemblies, and you can choose subsections under them. Can't wait to show you, everybody. It's pretty neat. Then anybody else who completes the onboarding, and we can talk about that. If you have any questions more about that, we can touch on them here. You can send us any follow-ups that you might have, questions through the email during administrative leave. Plenty of time. I know some folks, definitely Boyd needs his in hand and around his neck before July. So he'll receive that. And then anyone else in need, priority need, we're going to work on that next month for sure. So there's that. And I'll show you the again, the fillable form that's providing that. What's next for Series 2 training days? Let's see here, liaison discussion. So we're going to touch back or attempt to use scenarios again. And if they're calibrated as they should be. So we talk about outreach, networking. As liaisons, we have to be, I know folks here are having struggles or have been sprung upon them. Things may have been cultivating at the at, and now they're at a crescendo at this point. You take any opportunity where you meet with people of like mind and you share them. We have to realize that as liaisons, not that we can avoid controversy at all times, but we have to keep on track and speak on things that have to do with networking and outreach. And I know some folks here that are serving in other capacities, such as Marshal at Arms. I mean, I do appreciate and empathize with issues, but we have to be able to kind of sanitize our approach and our discussion points so that we can, as liaisons, provide a warm handshake, one of our own that's actually warm and approachable rather than jaded or cold, those kinds of things. I hope you guys can appreciate where I'm coming from with that. But yeah, that's what we'll talk about. Liaisons, go take the time, gather your thoughts, speak with your committees, your militias, if they're fledgling, if they're a little bit more advanced, if they're prepared to do their part for standing and all of that exciting stuff. But any struggles you have or successes, please take the time to gather that information and share it via email so we can prepare to then speak on these things a little bit more of a different setting with regards to things laid out and discussed in a scenario-based fashion in series 2. So we're going to try to transition into more of a workshop setting versus a training setting. So it's going to be a combination of both. That's going to be the effort. And so that's for series 2 predominantly. Luis, you want to go ahead? Thanks, everybody. Meeting updates, I think Luis has.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. So let me give you a few updates to share with your assemblies. Let me screen share here a moment.
Okay, I'll drop out.
Uh-oh. Okay, yeah. Just so we'll know exactly where we're going here. So in the strategy task force, there's 2 things going on. We've made a shift in the strategy task force to focus on organizing the county assemblies and having them spearhead the tours and the resurgence project and those things throughout the counties in their states. And I've called them model counties. The reason I call them model counties is because these particular counties are the one county in the state who have agreed to be that outreach arm for that state and set up and organize their county assemblies in a way that it can be duplicated throughout the other counties as we go about doing the county tours and everything. That's why it's called a model county. I'm choosing one per state to act as the model county. So if anybody, any county assemblies or any counties who want to get stood up in their state, you can have them contact me. And I'm putting the videos and the training that we're doing in the strategy task force on the 1776 Union YouTube channel. You can see it here on this channel. Here's the model counties section. I've created a playlist for it. So anytime we have our meetings, I will place it here. And the other thing that I want to start up is focusing on the peacekeeping aspect. So the peacekeeping aspect to the project is going to be based on this, the training reference guide. You've seen this before. We're editing it still. It's mainly done, but the recommendation from previous sessions was to add a term section. So you all have received this. If you have, and I put in yellow here the terms that I think would help the conversation as the peacekeepers are communicating with the de facto, as you all having your conversations with them. I would like your input to know which terms do you think would be needed to go into this reference guide, because all of this can't fit. These are just some terms I thought would be a conversation piece to help educate them. but you all are out there in the field. You county sheriffs, you liaisons are going to be the ones out there in the field. What terms do you think should go in here? And I need feedback on that so I can finalize this training reference guide. So what I want to do on my strategy task force, now I have 2 sessions a month, and so I'm having model counties on one of the Sundays. What I want to do with the other Sunday is have training for the peacekeepers. And it will be based on this reference guide and what you're going to be doing when you go meet the de facto and have this conversation with this reference guide in your hand. What I want to start talking about is what other documents will we be having in our hands? What will be the point of the conversation that you're going to be having? What is the end result that we want to see as a result of that conversation? How many conversations do you think we need to have before we, move on to the next step? That type of conversation and training and discussion is what I want to start having on that second Sunday of my strategy task force sessions. In this second Sunday, I am asking for the peacekeepers to attend to begin this discussion. The peacekeepers, meaning the liaisons, the county sheriffs, the continental marshals, militia commanders. These will be the people who are going to be talking to the public and talking to the de facto. And so I would like your input in developing this part. You will be able to tell us, well, this document we should have, or that document, we should talk about this, that type of thing. And the people that we're going to talk to are their de facto county sheriff, their de facto governor or attorney general, or whatever the corporate heads is. The corporate heads are for their de facto territorial and municipal governments. That's who we're going to be talking to in this phase 3 peacekeepers stage. So I need some feedback on this so I can get this finalized. And then I need you all to address your assemblies to ask any of the peacekeepers, the continental marshals, the militia commanders, the county sheriffs, if they would like to start attending those Sunday sessions. The first Sunday that I will have this discussion will be next Sunday. Next Sunday is a strategy task force session. We meet at 4:00 Central, I believe. So if you're interested, just email me and I will send out the link to you to attend that session. What else do I need to tell you?
Excuse me, may I?
Yes.
Is next Sunday tomorrow?
Nope, next Sunday is a week from tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any questions about the Peacekeeping Task Force Training Reference Guide or the model counties? Okay. Christopher?
Yeah, how should we get a hold of you?
I'll put my email in the chat. It's on all the documents too. So yeah, I'll put my email in the chat.
I put your Proton one in there, Louise. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine. So grab it out the chat to connect with me. Thank
May
you.
I?
Yes.
Did you say that the feedback you wanted from the liaisons on the terms and things like that was discussed in the actual strategy task force meeting, the second one of the month, or you want that back before the first one in June?
I like that back. It's already been discussed, so it's just been tabled right now I'm waiting for feedback from you guys.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. Let me try to go back again myself.
Joe, are you okay? Is he there?
I don't know.
Oh.
I thought he was. Not sure what happened. He's my backup recording person, so he can't go anywhere.
Joe, we can't hear you.
He's not muted. Let me text him.
Uh-oh, we
Oh.
lost him.
Oh, geez. There goes my redundancy.
He'll probably log off and log back in. Hopefully that'll take care of it.
Yeah, I'm just going to pause this for a second.
To my screen here. Does anybody have any questions about what they've seen in the answers provided via email that I was talking about? Any questions that were answered from those? We had a kind of a combination of questions we would like to have answered that were kind of lingering, and then a few of those were questions that were sent to us via email. So, did anybody have any? Can you guys enlighten me on if any of those questions you were having? Are they new? Are they new to you? Are you being inquire your either your General Assembly, generally speaking, or your Assembly militia chairs or committees, anything like that? You guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes,
We have-
Joe, it's Paul on Florida. I'm certainly communicating back and forth some with our militia chairman and our militia commander. Matter of fact, I'm doing phone tag with our militia commander right now, so I'm getting them to talk about things as much as I can get them to talk about them.
Right. Well, and again, this is what we've always have been striving for from the very beginning. We want to be able to know that we're making a difference at the state level, generally or internationally speaking. This is the kind of the crux of the effort. When we as staff from different states, even among ourselves from separate states, we really can't be there, even if we invited as as a guest to share feedback, to be there virtually as a guest on your General Assembly. It's just, it does not go the distance. And some assemblies kind of make the argument that we're not needed, or we're not needed at that time, or these services aren't needed at the time. The best way we can convey what is being offered here are through your efforts. This is really what it comes down to. And we have to be able to focus our efforts with interfacing. So your peacekeepers on your county and your state, this is what you as liaisons are bringing back. If you or others in your sphere, in your community, are being inundated with entanglements, court issues, this is, as a liaison, is counterproductive for your efforts. And certainly you have issues that you find yourself in. It's just the more struggles, unless of course it is being maintained, because people have issues as they come, as it is. It's just another day in the office, so to speak. But if it becomes too overwhelming, then that warm handshake and that embrace just isn't there. And if your assemblies aren't seeing the value, it will take time, and it takes focus. So, let me go ahead and switch. I'm going to switch screens first before we move on. Christopher, I'll try to address her, or who else maybe before you. Before I switch the screen, go ahead, Annette.
Thank you. I was able to get one of the 3 PKTF radios that we ordered in. I guess the other 2 are coming. Are we going to have a class so that we can all know what bandwidth we're meeting on and how to communicate with each other with these radios as everybody comes on board with them?
And yes, that's what we're working on also during admin leave. We was hoping to have this at least launch, which we are. We're working on the layouts of having a physical meeting space, a place for people to physically travel to, and then a conference room in a setting for 2 days for 8 hours each day. And for those who can't travel, if it's not in the convenient vicinity, then you can meet virtually for the same effect. And yes, that's what's been taking place. Michigan is helping with that, I believe. The subject matter expert traveling from their location to the central office in Louisville. We've talked about that a few times, and he's agreed to meet there in that capacity. So yes.
Thank you.
Christopher, go ahead.
Well, my question was kind of to what you were saying about, like, how some of the assemblies are like saying that they don't need us or whatever, but we're there to kind of help the assemblies along, right? So when they start going awry or start changing things, and we try to warn against, like changing things that is not what what the assembly should be all about, and they want to kind of do their own thing. What is the best thing for us to do? I yield.
Looks like Joe fell off again.
So let me give you an example. We've we've been kind of preaching, that you got to stand up your four pillars, et cetera, so forth, and what have you. But some people have been trying to adopt this three pillar format instead of a four pillar format. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, how should we guide them if they're wanting to go in a different direction. So I'll just yield with that.
Is this within your assembly? You're seeing this, or you're talking about other people? You're seeing this happen in assemblies?
Both.
Mhm. Well, I would like to, I
And
would like,
I'm just trying to caution them to stay on point and stay on track instead of trying to change things. So I yield.
so what I would say, as a liaison, that I wouldn't say that would be your role to have them stay on point or on track. That wouldn't be your role as a liaison. Now, as a national in that assembly, you can do whatever you like and advise as much as you want. But as a liaison, liaisons are generally the go-between to send information back and forth. So you're there as a liaison to tell them what the PKTF is doing, where to go get the information. And if they have questions about what services we provide or anything that has to do with communication, the radios, or the outreach project we're doing, if they have questions about that, then they tell you, and then you come back and tell us if you didn't already know the answer. So that's what a liaison does. I think what you're talking about, where you want to speak up about that would be taking your hat off as a liaison and putting your hat on as American State National of your assembly.
Yeah, it's just I'd hate for the assembly to go astray and get off track of what Anna's what Anna's talking about. Oh, you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's your national hat. You put that on, and then you deal with whatever you want to deal with your assembly on
yeah,
that.
I know, and it's just we're just there to guide them in the right direction. I guess it is totally up to them if they want to listen to us or not. Okay, I just thought I'd clarify that. I yield.
Yeah. And I think it's important. Let me say this. I think it's important for us to know what hats we're wearing, because we've had this discussion before and how it creates conflict and confusion when somebody think, well, you the liaison, you're supposed to say this, or you're supposed to, do whatever. Let's know what our roles are so that you don't be accused of doing something that out of your jurisdiction or out of your role, or assuming that that is your role and you're not doing your role. That happened on the opposite side. So your job is to let them know what your role is. And when you are out of that role, let them know, I'm not in that role. I'm in my national role right now. And this is what I think our assembly need to do.
I think the prior that happens a lot where they expect us to be in a certain position and we're supposed to handle certain things that we're not supposed to handle. And so they have that expectation of whatever role we're in, whether it's liaison or whatever that role may be. They have their own assumptions on what you're supposed to do. So, and our yeah, I'm pretty clear on what my role is, but yeah, I just thought I'd ask that question just to see if anybody else has run into that. So I yield.
And it really is a slippery slope. One of the things Joe told us some time ago is really we kind of putting on. Hey, listen, John, Louise, you're bringing up the two hats. Joe didn't even talk about the two hats. He said that we pretty much need to just take it. If we're, he didn't talk about taking off our PKTF hat and putting on the national hat. I mean, obviously we can't. We get our butts in a twist, and we got to be whatever we got to be. But in terms of what we're doing, Joe said, you're just going to have to take some of this stuff that people are giving you because you're, like you were saying, Louise, we're there as liaisons. We don't like have a dog in the hunt, so to speak. And if people take issue with something, all we can do is take it back to go between our assemblies and our executive directorate to get answers and stuff. I don't know. Am I thinking, Louise, you correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like we've got to be steady Freddy or steady Eddie, and because in Florida it seems like we're getting. I had our chairman of our litigation committee. He's the chairman of the General Assembly. He called me, and one of the things he asked me, he says, "So, what is it, particularly that you guys do?" And that's where I got the direction to send them to get the charter where it says exactly what we're supposed to do and all that kind of stuff. But they're just a little wary of the PKTF, and I'm not saying rightfully so or whatever, but I certainly don't want to give them the impression that I'm a chameleon and I'm going to change my stripes, so to speak.
Yeah, it's important. This is an important topic. I don't know if you all are experiencing any of the conflicts on your assemblies, but this is an important topic to understand your role. And you all may take on other responsibilities on your assembly in different roles as well. So at all times, you're going to have to know which role you are in. You might be in the General Assembly, you might be in the International Business Assembly, you might be doing other things. So it's important that we practice, and Kimberly made this really clear. We practice how to switch hats. And then when we practice how to switch hats in front of our assembly, they will begin to expect to know who you are when you're speaking. They will follow your pattern. So they won't be assuming now that you're talking about, I want 3 pillars, not 4, that you're speaking as the PKTF liaison, and tell you're not even supposed to be talking about no, whatever, because you in PKTF, what that's got to do with us, that type of thing. So you want to be careful to practice switching your hats.
Right. So it's kind of like we can take them to the water, but we can't, take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink type of thing, right?
Well, speak to only what you have authority to speak to.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. You have authority as a national to speak to anything going on in your assembly and anything going on in a committee. But as a PKTF liaison, you only transfer information to your militia assembly, or to your outreach committee, and to your General Assembly only if we have something to tell the General Assembly that they need to know.
Right.
David, sorry.
Yep.
No, go ahead.
No,
Well, and it was supposed to come up tonight also and I thought it made sense. They talked about, elected county guardians and also how we're supposed to, well, let's go there. I mean, what does that look like? Is that a county election based on what versus we bringing that concept to us from the Federation of States, right?
I'm not sure if I follow. Elected county guardians is just county sheriffs, right?
Oh, okay. You mean just, okay, I got you. I got you.
Mhm.
Joe is
Yeah.
almost back. He's rebooting his computer. He's having some technical issues. So, David, did you have a question you want to ask before he comes back and joins us?
Not really a question. It was going to be a comment, but I think for the most
Okay.
part, it's probably not necessary based on what I'm hearing. Thank you.
Mhm, mhm.
Louise, did you see that graphic in the chat, the 3 pillars versus 4?
I didn't see it, but I know about the 3 pillars. It's what they're teaching, or it's just a different vantage point of the construction of the assembly that some assembly required that Lisa created, how she actually sees how the pillars operate.
Okay.
And the original graphic was 4 pillars
Yeah.
operating on even in the diagram. So she changed it to what her perspective was of how those pillars communicate or operate or interact with each other. And then there's a little slightly different perspective on it. Mhm.
Now, Louise, is that based on what some say historically that the militia assembly is an extension and part of the drill assembly? Looking at it like 3 main pillars and the militia being an extension of the drill. I mean, is that the rationale that someone can come up with 3 versus 4? Because I had never even heard that.
No, I don't. The 3 pillars would be the militia, the drill, and the International Business Assembly. The General Assembly would not be in the pillars, in these 3 pillars, because the General Assembly would be the overarching.
Got it.
That's what it looks like. At least that's the one I'm remembering. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Mhm.
Christopher, can you hold
I'm
your
back.
question until the end so we can get, because
Oh, yeah.
Joe's back? Is that okay?
That's fine. Just, it's just something. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to add to it, but that's
Then
okay.
he can,
Anyway.
while he has the connection, we can take advantage.
Yeah. And again, everybody, and Christopher, I know a guest, and we absolutely appreciate liaisons and marshals at arms walk hand in hand and help their assembly militia. It's all fitting, but the thing is, we only have 90 minutes, and we want to be able to maximize what we're talking about so we don't stray off into other areas that are constructive, of course. But if you have a question, share them either in the comments section of articles, send us email. We'll generate articles for your question. Really, really maximize the answer you're looking for. Appreciate that. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, my computer really wanted to do a pretty good upgrade. So, I think I'm fresh here. Okay. So administrative leave, we're at just beyond prerequisite training or whatever entry level. We got to get an understanding. We're going to go into what is it, our second? Yeah, second. Last year was March through, and then we started up again. So we experienced one admin leave, kind of didn't know what it was about. So there's your 060, less than college level. But now we're in 101, so we can experience what that is now moving forward. And we're perfecting more what it looks like. So now you guys are seeing kind of a really easy step of what to expect between training iterations or training series. So we embrace the training pause. We kind of know what it is, know that many things are taking place between trainings or meetings like this, and expect to have those things taking place at the same time. We expect the liaisons to take back and take the opportunity to have consistent, many weeks on end, focus on your assembly militia success. And you're kind of unpacking, you're bringing things to them, and now you're providing that all together. Am I still here?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I got had 10 tabs, 11 tabs just now coming online. Text me. I'm going to keep an eye on because since I don't have the screen on, I don't see you guys. So text me, Kathy, if I go out. So I don't
Okay.
banter on here and I'm off. To embrace the training pause, know more of what it is. It's about. Utilize the more focused email, things like that. We're going to hone in on communications. I see Annette jumped right onto what I was asking, and she already texted me because she knows I want to talk with her about her radio orders. So I see that. That's awesome. That's what we're looking for. But yeah, just kind of tune in what you have here. If you have questions as we go, and if they're pertaining to what we're talking about, we'll leave space for that at the end of the meetings. You want to go in committee work, just kind of take that into all things considered step by step. Embrace the pause. If people have questions within your assembly, well, why aren't y'all meeting anymore? Let them know that as to the best of your ability what constructive nature these kind of pauses provide you and us and them. And that you'll come back with what you've worked on and then transition all that work into another venue, in and out of work. So let's work on, light work in between. Work back on, light work in between. And it helps to minimize fatigue. So again, what you're bringing back is your progress details. Progress being if you have concerns, if you have issues, that in itself is a type of progress because if you're having issues, or questions about your vertical developments, that in itself is a progress. It just might be a slowdown where questions needs to be answered. Again, everything you're doing is to allow your counterparts, anybody who here is a peacekeeper, external to your assembly, especially that impact. If you don't have any of the three main external peacekeepers around you as liaisons, you kind of want to search for information to help solicit from your assembly participation in that realm. So if you have a sheriff, that sheriff is owed a deputy marshal on their county. If you can envision a small county where you can almost throw a rock from one end to the other, if the wind was at your back and you positioned your sheriff's office at one end, at the other end within sight and running distance may be your marshal's outpost. A lot of assemblies don't really talk too much about the importance of having a deputy continental marshal on their counties, and I'm not hearing it, nor am I seeing much correspondence or questions through email. So that's just something that I pick up on. I'm not hearing one way or the other about the militia commanders or things like that much, but I guess that's a good thing if we're not hearing too many questions about that, what that's about. Can anybody show me where they have, as far as do they have the militia commander as of yet? You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. No one has a militia commander.
Besides those that I may know, like for instance, Florida, I know has this. Yeah, this is a good opportunity. Christopher, as Marshal at Arms, Colorado, do you know if you have a militia commander as of yet?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so then you would need, okay, so kind of play the part where you are and what you're learning. And since you're here, you might say, well, we do have a militia commander, but I'm not seeing any liaison, or I'm not hearing within the General Assembly any reports that a liaison is bringing back. Do we have a liaison? I think we do. I don't want to speak. Are you familiar with any coordination at that level, Christopher, for your assembly?
Not as of yet. I mean, part of the reason why I'm attending these is to ensure that that information is getting to our liaison, our militia commander.
Okay, I don't see this panel. That's while we're at it, we're on 1.3 here, progress detail. And I do know that Michigan is working on this. They're diligently working. And again, with having a liaison, we are privy to some shortcomings in progress that you guys are having. So that's really great. So we do have, but I'm not sure. Go ahead,
Annette
Annette.
Annette has a comment.
Thank you. Okay, I'm on the county and I am
Annette,
I'm
you're
also,
echoing a bit.
yeah, Lee had something on, sorry. And I also have, I'm in the militia liaison training. Would that be prudent? I get an additional person to do that instead of myself? Is that a conflict of interest?
No. There's no. If you have a team, kind of a smattering of liaisons, even at the county level, they really work well, completely well. The reason why that is, I mean, you could have dozens of liaisons. Of course, you don't have that on Florida, but they really work well because they happen to be working at the county level. The thing is, there is no assembly militia pillar structure fully uh, at the county level, but there are opportunities in that for your county to participate on behalf of your state as a portion of your state relative to the amount of counties you have if you have a sheriff. So my next
Okay.
question would be, do you have a reeve for your county as of yet?
That would be me. And I have a question about the marshal at arms. So we're not supposed to have a marshal at arms, or we do have a marshal at arms on a county? Because we did elect one, and now we're not sure if that was supposed to be happening.
I would think that you'd have to have someone to provide the quorum for your local general assembly.
He does. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
May I? Joe,
Sure.
this conversation came up in one of either our strategy task force, yeah, probably one of those meetings, where they were saying that a county does not have a marshal at arms. The county sheriff would be the one who would be that overseer of the meeting.
In a general assembly meeting?
That's what they were saying.
I don't know about that.
They wouldn't have a marshal at arms.
That doesn't seem harmonious to me at all, especially when the sheriff is dealing with the courts and process serving and keeping. Yeah, I never heard that from the federation. That's a good follow up. Yeah, I think that's not altogether accurate, but I'm not going to speculate on that. That's good to know. Can find out. Well, hold on, Christopher. We're going to try to go around the room and try to get a consensus on who has what, since we're on the topic of progress detail. Who else do we have, Kathy, that might be able to share? If you're here as a liaison or as another fellow peacekeeper, do you have a militia commander?
Florida has a militia commander, Brian Harvey.
Right. Yep.
Okay. What about Michigan, Kimberly?
Well, I know, but because of Kimberly's contributions, very thorough, I can tell you that they're working on it, but they do not as of yet.
They don't? Okay.
Not as of yet. We are working on it. Thank you, Ayla.
And that's good to know. Even incremental reports, remember, even constructive pauses or just, preparing to move forward is great information. Richard?
Thank you. Yeah, we don't have a militia commander on Illinois yet. I'm the acting liaison, and we do have a couple people that are active in the militia assembly, just kind of getting it started though. So they're moving, we're moving.
All right, great. Yeah, and this is, again, it is great and it's easy and it's on the record and it's audio and it fits with what's seen on the screen. So these kinds of feedbacks, it's so impactful to share because of the viewers and readers and viewers and commenters on where these replays go. It's hugely important. And again, you have to envision that the law enforcement counterparts are privy to these replays, and they hire folks to glean from these reports. So, and of course, they don't see our emails, but we report on those details that are part of email chains and whatnot. So that's why it's impactful, and I'm really optimistic about what's going to take place during series 2, because we're really going to ask for these reports more and more, and they can be really, really quick, just like that. Illinois just gave a fine report, Michigan fine report, Florida super, super quick, super, super tight, and as well as a county assembly like it's on it, like with Marion County. Annette, go ahead.
Thank you again. Sorry, I don't want to be taking up too much time, but we have been going through the programs of what age groups are going to do this and what age groups are going to do that, and who's going to help with this and who's going to help with that if we were ever to have an event on our county and or make ourselves available, obviously, to Florida or any other counties that are near us. We were under the impression that we were supposed to be prepared to that all of us are actually part of the militia when needed. Am I getting that wrong?
No, you're not getting that wrong. It may be just taking that from that awareness into proportion,
A little
proportionate to
premature.
well, no, okay. So going back again with the fact that the assembly, the county at the county levels, they contribute to the state border defense, and but they also are responsible for their county border safety. That falls in the purview of the sheriff. The sheriff can deputize up to 5,000 people normally, traditionally, but they also have a posse or a unit of special volunteers that can help with their militia. So beyond their county,
Okay.
deputies, sheriff's deputies, sure, it wouldn't be 5,000, but they could be. It's conceivable, but not likely that a sheriff would need 5,000 deputies to help their county.
Right.
But they definitely have
Right.
to
Okay.
account. They definitely have
Thank
to
you.
account for. They definitely have to account for how they can contribute to their state proportionate to their county and all of the other surrounding counties. And again, that falls within the sheriff. And then the
Okay.
sheriff
Yeah,
provides that
we
report to their state. The sheriffs do their part to contribute what they have available on their state volunteers. And that's what makes up your militia in totality.
thank you. We also had them preparing bug out bags. One of the deputies went through everything with them about bug out bags and ammo and their guns and all of the necessities whenever and if ever it was necessary. So okay, I thank you for clarifying that for me. And maybe we're a little ahead of the curve there, but we have been preparing for that. And thank you so much. I yield.
Yeah, and we do have
Andrew?
from last.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold on, Kimberly. Oh, and one moment, Kimberly. Just on that, we do have a community border. I don't know what I don't recall. It's from last year. You'll have to look for it, go back through it, and it'll explain how community boundaries are established and the resources that you and your neighbors can provide a community, and the resiliency of your immediate community and the communities that are adjacent to you across the road. The complexities really, really simple may sound, depending on the layout of where you live and your front yard, side yards, and backyard, what's behind you, behind your property, and what are the limits and how do you draw those perimeters, what constitutes an immediate community. All of that is something that your sheriff will definitely need to know. And then what do you do if you do, as you say, bug out? Where do you go? And in a county that's prepared based on the entry level training that we provided everybody, no matter where they are, they want to go and assist their town and protect their sheriffs, protect their infrastructure, protect their courthouse, their rail stations, shipping yards, landing pads, hospitals, physician's office, what have you, trading posts, water sanitation systems. People who are prepared that are assisting the sheriff, and which he or she is fully aware of already, they actually travel to their county, their town as it is, and the sheriff is even aware. When you have a really, really thorough county, if you will, militia to that extent, your sheriff will already know you and other assets that makes up their unit. He or she's already where you're coming to assist. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely have a passion and love for the militia. I think that the video that you are looking for was in our first series. I think it was the fifth or the sixth set of training we had where the maps were for your local community stuff. I found that to be a fantastic training, and it was a really good resource and slide presentation. So I would recommend that for anyone looking to sort of introduce local communities and their assemblies to some of the plans that have been put forward to help assist with that. And then I wanted to just go ahead on the reporting and build out just a little bit more clearly. I'm sorry, I got something that distracted me for a moment and had to tend to it when you called on me. Wanted to just report Michigan does actually observe that our militia is actually standing, as Annette had pointed out there. We are all duty and militia service. And because of that, we do think that that's a very important area and aspect. We do have a Peacekeepers on Michigan meeting that we have been meeting consistently and basically discussing all things militia and putting our plans together. One of the things that we found and believe is very important is the idea of being connected in alternate ways. So that's where we've jumped into working with the radios and are hoping that with the help Bobby's been giving us more recently, that we're going to be able to start to kick this out and get a little bit more class sort of stuff working out. We're figuring out how to communicate with each other, not in right community with one another. So trying to teach somebody how to use a radio when you're on a Zoom call or not in person is a little more challenging. So figuring out the best way to actually make that that transfer. So, but yeah, we definitely have in the last few weeks made the decision that the Peacekeepers on Michigan meeting that we are going to have will be actually the committee that Anna had been discussing. That should be sort of the committee that will be between the militia proper when that comes online and the GA. So that's where we are in our development and are talking about doing some good in-person events where we can do some trainings and all different things. So things from, canning and gardening to basically maintenance of arms and weaponry, how to build fires and purify water and so forth. So things we're all talking about and how we're going to start to make those trainings available, and then hopefully getting in touch with and learning how we get in touch with I believe it is our fire departments that have the trainings for the first aid. So that's some of what we're building out right now in Michigan. And I'm sorry I was a little quick on my report before. As I said, I had something I had to manage. So thank you. I yield.
Thanks, Kimberly. Thorough as usual. Awesome. Awesome.
So,
Let me see.
Joe,
Yep.
I was actually, let me check the chat. No, I don't see it. So, Andrew's here from Alabama. So, Andrew, do you have a militia commander? Do you know? Did he go? I saw him here earlier. Hang on a second.
We'll go back. We'll
Okay.
get back to Andrew if he's able to
Okay.
answer. Let's
Does
continue
any-
to go around. Yeah, let's keep on with the
Okay.
Spot.
Farley, Pennsylvania. All right. Does anybody want to share? Like I'm doing roll call, no one's there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So the
Let's try
question
to-
is militia commanders on your state. So if anybody else wants to respond, let us know if you have one. I guess if you don't, we can assume you don't. But if you want to just unmute and just let us know. Don't be shy.
Hi, I unmuted. Well, as far as Ohio goes, no, we don't have a commander currently. I used to be. I stepped back to focus more on county-related business. I'm not sure what they're doing. That's all I know. So,
Okay.
Thanks,
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's when we have assemblies that are going through some kind of transition, even though it may be maybe heavy or new, to have a contingency or maybe to fall back into your county level and contribute that way. That's always great, and to even have meetings like this where we try to have a group effort, not just liaisons. It does take a little bit more time to talk through certain details because we have more of a complex audience, but it does help. And you are in great company, peacekeepers, peacekeepers, peacekeepers. Now, as those peacekeepers, you're searching for information about your counterparts, or So in this case, Adam being former state level commander, he may relegate himself down in a more healthy fashion as the county sheriff, and then he then would. I'm just envisioning this. He would then inquire how to find more information about a deputy continental marshal on his town, across his town, near his office. Think forward thinking and looking down on what should be and will be eventually. So those are the kind of proactive thoughts and moving those visuals around in anticipation for what is owed to you. And yes, if you transition from one peacekeeping role to another, either it's a lateral move, more exterior to your state assembly, such as what Adam just shared, it's all really great. I want to pause for a moment here and just transition from them. Progress detail. We were on that quite a bit. Information share that kind of walks hand in hand. All 5 of these steps is usually what takes place and back and forth into your administrative leave. So you'll experience 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 4, 3, 2, 1, where throughout your pause in your training pause, your administrative leave, you're still working as well as are we, but we're not meeting publicly or recording those meetings and having something fresh, new to share worldwide, per se. But we will return again, and we're working through these areas. You shouldn't expect anything else beyond this. So this is for your familiarity's sake. Information share back and forth. Emails, if time permits, you have text or phone calls, things like that. And then, of course, the delivery approach ties everything in again. Emails, phone calls, more phone calls, texts, things like that you have. In this, you'll have committee meetings at your state level, more of the same as far as meeting spaces, just like this. So let me go ahead. Farley, I'm going to go ahead and switch out. Go ahead. I'm going to toggle off of this. I know I was down for about 20 minutes, but I'm going to stop screen sharing and go into the liaison authorization.
Go ahead, Farley.
Go ahead, Farley. Question. Where did he go?
He's there. I'm asking him to unmute. I'm helping him.
All right, I'm just going to keep going.
Okay, sounds good.
Right. Does anybody notice anything different here? Let's see if the liaisons, how often they frequent this page. If they see anything jumping out. Never mind the top portion here. I'm actually in the back end of the site, but you can still see what the site looks like.
The emergency dispatch?
No, same thing. That's the same. But you'll see here, we've actually highlighted and added because you want to be able to emphasize where your professional biography will go. Essentially, and it's not a whole lot of work to it, but that's where they'll be. So just as a special icon on the top layer of the navigation bar, the only one that I'm hoping to have is the states. Now you can click this. People may overlook this. Like maybe I can work to separate. This is actually an action bar. When you click states, it brings you to the first of 3 maps that we have, provides progress reports to the states, about the states. The other 2 are under campaigns, where you'll have Assembly Militia and then ex parte the Milligan. The 2 status is within there. And here is something new, nestled right where it should be with the Resurgence Project and how you as a liaison team can work with further outreach. Maybe some of the liaisons here are more towards providing progress reports to and from this meeting space back to your militia committees, whichever one you're accustomed to. Another among you may be working on, again, more right here, I would say, with what Luis is putting together and what you just your typical, your regular General Assembly outreach has. This is kind of how you'll see the kind of a relationship between three potential liaison roles. And then you'll have your more available and outspoken type liaisons who actually do the meets and greets, warm handshakes, handing off information, walks around with an attaché case, makes themselves available to provide PowerPoint presentations, you know, in person, you know, in your lawful physical person, traveling to and speaking with, you know, sheriffs and these kinds of things, which is much more involved, obviously. But yeah, so what you'll find are in the future and through admin leave, you'll see this begin to populate for those who do have common access badges on the way. So let me go ahead and click it, show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it will be. Now, there's only one under here. I'm going to have to change to the contents that you'll see. Because when I click this, which everybody will click this, where you'll end up here is a place where you will actually put the password. You start to populate the password, you'll be able to see it. Now, I can put anything in there, including what the actual password is, but it's not going to populate because I have it locked out at the moment. But that's what it looks like when you type it in, what it will be, and they'll be similar to what all of the passwords will be until such time as it needs to be changed for whatever reason. And you can provide that yourself. Just let our IT team know when the time comes, and you'll be able to see that or change that. Now, obviously, that's not the password, so what you get is just a plain, that's not the password. There's no lockout feature attempts at the moment, so not to worry about that. Let me see if I can find the page that I need to find. I'll walk you guys through the back end. How about that? So I'm going to pull Boyd's information up. You know what? That's going to take too much time, so I don't want to do that. Just know that the page that you'll see here will look exactly like this. Your navigation bars and your footer, full footer and headers, and you know, information, and your search bar follows you everywhere you go on the site. So just know that what you'll see here, same color theme and everything. But we end up finding here on this page when it builds out, which I'm going to go to the actual form. You see it right up here. It'll be a fillable form, and we can send those to you, and you can fill those out yourself. And again, as we become more proficient at explaining the forms, all it takes is, you know, email instructions and the fillable form itself. You can begin to fill it out at your leisure. Okay. Let me know if the screen changes.
It's trying.
Do I
Okay,
have
it
to
changed.
stop screen sharing?
Okay. We're seeing the
I'll
liaison
make it.
authorization form with Boyd.
Yep. So again, you're seeing the raw, the white paper, whatever you want to call it, the fillable form as it will be, and it can be sent to you. It'll be 2 pages. You'll see, I just want to show you a little bit what it will look like. Also following are these sponsored participants, these liaisons. So you may have a liaison that's working in a field. I'll remember the 9 categories I mentioned in their subcategories, where that liaison that carries this authorization form actually works with certain contractors, if you will, that your state assembly is working with. So let's just imagine that this is actually Florida, because Florida, Paul does have an emphasis on medical interventions, medical equipment, medical what have you, right? So it wouldn't be Kentucky necessarily, or Ohio, Florida, maybe any services that PKTF offers as far as communications. So this is for the de facto to be able to glean from. They need to be able to examine at a comfortable distance what you have to offer them. And then they start to grow closer to who you are. If that makes sense to you. So this is how the forms will look. You'll have this is a really good capture of a void here. Doesn't have to be a perfect, it doesn't have to be a solid white background either. It can be like that. You're going to have it's the exact same authorization form. I zoomed in enough so you can see the contents, and you will be able to fill it in as it is. Here's the important part, I think. Well, it's all important, but it's interesting because you, as who you are as a liaison by yourself, you have a second, a third, maybe the state level. You can recreate this at the county level as well. And going through here and at least see the services based on these categories, the service types to refer to, and then the subcategories. And if you're wondering what these acronyms are, they are relative to emergency search, and they are familiar to your counterparts or their counterparts. Their counterparts versus your counterparts, of course, will be anybody that your assemblies have, state or county, that caters to emergency search and rescue. And there will be a legend at the bottom of the two-page, maybe it's three. Yeah, maybe it's 3 pages. That will help provide what these acronyms, abbreviations are. Collapse communication, and you can, as a liaison yourself, this will be void, let's say, and it's not limited to these 9 categories and their subcategories as service types. If you have others, you can put in their abbreviations or titles here as far as you need to be, because this form will continue on, and it's accessible with all the information that you need to put in that other information. So I will share that with everybody. Give me a few more weeks to put that together, or at least 2. And before you know it, this will be sent over to you with instructions on how to fill it out. If you're a liaison who has information and skill sets and are interested in focusing on criminal transport, this has to do with information about Continental Marshal Service. So if it's criminal transport, this fits in the purview of the Continental Marshals. Criminal investigation fits more into your sheriffs. So just as you see it, and if you have more questions about these and require more, of course, PKTF can put that together for you. Okay, and this is you as a liaison with the information. You don't know these services, these types like the back of your hand or anything like that, but you're pursuing information and becoming more available. If this were, let's say, Paul's from Florida, he would probably check both of these as being available to be near folks within his assembly at the state level that has information regarding this, and anything else that he doesn't see under type 9. Border incursion are for the Continental Marshals as well. So smuggling, interdictions, anything that falls into that, all of them or none of them. If Boyd is not, himself is not in the position to know this information, because maybe he is dealing with other aspects of his team at the state level, which again, Assembly Militia, State Border Defense is very vast. So those are the kind of details there. Now we move into who's who that Boyd would be speaking with. So this could be true or not as who it is. So it touches upon who is the militia commander, who is the area chief for his region, for the states, their point of contacts, their email, who is their marshal at arms, their point of contact, his immediate point of contact. So that would be perhaps a family member. The liaison themselves falls under qualified peacekeeping advocate. So who they are, when they're born. Now we move into that access badge numbers themselves, which will be on the NCIC database as far as the badge goes. If your people who are inquiring of your credentials needs to go any further, you also have your approval cadre right there. All right. So that's what it looks like in a nutshell. So we just wanted to grab a few sponsors. These entities actually do exist, but this would be more something like perhaps Paul would have as affiliates or folks that he's working with, even indirectly. They would know of Paul as a liaison for the Florida Assembly, but not necessarily intimately very well. Florida in the area, which is area 3, postal area 3, it would be the Florida Assembly, Georgia Assembly, Louisiana, I believe it is, also Tennessee. So you would, these would be eventually as part of, if this were Paul's authorization form, would be there eventually. That way it fits harmoniously with what the U.S. Marshals provide as far as the service, land and sea, transcending state borders. So that's that. I think that's it, everybody. I don't want to overwhelm. I had more to share a little bit. Let me, if you have any questions, let me go ahead and stop screen sharing for a moment. I did want to touch on something that we'll be working on next month with a couple of states on how to build out your assembly further if you're kind of in a kind of at a standstill on certain things on how to move forward. You're comfortable maybe with where you are, but how do you move forward? And as a liaison and focused on your state border defense, how can you move forward from there? I will be working with the Missouri Assembly on how that works, but for the sake of time, since we only have a few more minutes, I will open it up for questions and we'll get back with you on those details as a template to how to build out your assembly beyond your General Assembly. General Assembly, just kind of a teaser here. General Assembly would go, how do we branch out more healthy? What's the next transition? It would definitely be your militia, your assembly militia would be the next focus along with your General Assembly. And then your General Assembly relationship, General Assembly and Assembly militia relationship, it assists with your jury pool, it assists with your outreach. Everybody's a part of the Assembly militia on some level. And then however you calibrate that via H group, voluntary work, those who would like to support, some other means, just short of physical assistance, that part's built into it as well. So that's what we offer. And that's the reason why I wanted to ask everybody kind of go around to see how many had a militia commander or an advisor. Because if you don't, then that would be the next step, definitely be the next step. So good timing on that. Thanks for David Custer's work. He's offered to help, and we're definitely willing to help meet with him and his marshal at arms and their co-coordinator that will help build out that template, and we'll get back with everybody on how that looks. Any questions? Any questions at all?
Kimberly.
Okay, who was first? Who was first? I didn't see.
Oh,
Kimberly
I'm not
can go
sure.
first. I just all I wanted to know is I just wanted to see if you were like any questions at all. I wanted to see if you got my email with all the counties for Colorado.
Me, I don't know.
I
Okay.
think I received it. Did you copy me on that, Christopher? That sounds familiar.
I may have.
There were a lot, right?
Yeah, it was 64.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
Christopher,
have that.
if I may, and using Andrew, or I'm sorry, as Adam as an example, hypothetical, Adam would say, well, I'm going to back into my county and do what I do. And if he was to go for sheriff, he would be saying, where's my deputy continental marshal? And then he'd be inquiring for a liaison to help answer that question, right?
Right.
So you as a marshal at arms, you would be saying, where's my state liaison? See what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
That's where we want to hope to help you and your, especially your adjacent counterpart across the aisle, all the way across the aisle. You from the General Assembly. Also, you recognizing their standing committee. That's another thing I wanted to touch on. Thanks for reminding me. The 4 main pillar, impervious, lights always on. Maybe not everybody in full attendance, but all year round, your 4 standing pillars within your General Assembly. And they are Sessions Committee, Oversight Committee, Ombudsman Committee, and now the Public Safety Committee, which all four of those cater to all four pillars. And none more focused than for the Assembly Militia, and that's your Public Safety Committee. Your state police as emergency services on U.S. routes and state routes, they fit very nicely. That's another thing you would want to know as a marshal at arms. But yeah, and just to help you answer questions that you wouldn't even need to attend necessarily. Of course, we offer that for everybody within reason to come here.
Mhm.
If you had a liaison, they could help answer questions for you that you know well, it may even be in your same county. So just to kind of help that.
Right. And the only other question I had was, I know you had graphics for all 3,030 something or whatever it is counties.
3,143 counties. Yep, they're on
Yeah.
our main page.
Yeah, and then those are downloadable, right? Those graphics. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I can probably send you a link where you can go and actually create those yourself.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Same place. Okay, Kimberly, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question that I would like to ask, but I'm going to put it into a context first. I'm actually looking at Anna's book on her council, looking some things up yesterday, Disclosure 101. And it's on page 20 that I'm reading from. And it says, once it is clear we are acting as living Americans, and we are, and not agreeing to act as incorporated things, all members of the American Bar Association are obligated by the very treaty that allows their presence on our soil to lend aid and assistance to us and all members of the United States of America Major. And, my point of emphasis, and the military forces are obligated to come to our defense. So unless you work for the Puerto Rican Commonwealth and hope to be paid by them, you'll never make tracks. You'd all better make tracks to the right track. My point is, if we are, as the living Americans, able to command military forces and they're obligated to our defense, we have a lot of men and women that are having major issues, myself included, for, in many respects, the courage to stand and the ability to stand. I'm going to be in trouble here. And based on the report that came on before we started the recording, we're having men and women that are losing their homes. When and how can we ask the military to step in and defend us from perpetrators upon our counties that are criminals, that we have evidence for, that we need to protect ourselves from losing our homes? And so I'm asking in peace, as I always do, how can I get the military to help defend me? And how can we as Americans get the military to help defend us from these perpetrations that we're under? Thank you. I yield.
It's a great question, Kimberly. We can, just like others who are having issues locally, this is a really great opportunity to promote what it is to be a county guardian. What impact that might mean at first may be a pretty steep uphill battle as far as recognizing, but I mean, putting forth that effort, having somebody that is that peacekeeper in your county and trying to build that, it's much easier to start to build that rapport for a county that has no American population that's suffering much as it is to have one expedited and in place and then move forward. Yeah, I'm sure even Anna would struggle to try to answer that question to your satisfaction, Kimberly. But that would be my hope, is to have somebody who is willing to themselves, beyond themselves, declare peace on that county and be that peacekeeper. It's
I did that, and I went last week to the township meeting, and I actually declared peace. They've cut my mic.
Right.
They basically
Kimberly.
have video that has cut all that. So I'm asking, if we have
Kimberly.
to accelerate, how do we engage or ask for military help? Who would we ask to talk to on our state? If I can't find the state border defense men and women, who do I go to next, please?
Okay, so as I'm described, declaring peace beyond ourselves, that would be a sheriff, in my view, that would be a sheriff, someone who is prepared to for the entire county. And hopefully that same sheriff, or that would be sheriff, is themselves not in a controversy. So that would be, again, that's probably not to your satisfaction or those who have their property in the process of being stolen at this very moment. But for the sake of helping to answer that question for everyone else, it's very imperative that for those who reach out to the military, as it were, is the same as what the county sheriff would do for their state and for their assistance from the military. To be able to try to articulate the need to have a military, it's best to try to foster that at a safe distance versus an area where somebody is, under the gun, such as those who are having who has had their property stolen out from under them in the process, or potentially future. So that would be my best contribution. Have somebody stand up and declare peace beyond themselves, outside of themselves, and say, I want to go further. I mean no harm. I am in no any controversy whatsoever. So let's go forward, because I have a job to do, and I would like to help get current and future Americans out of harm's way. And I seek the military's assistance in this endeavor. So I hope that helped a little bit.
It does, and yet having been a military man yourself and I not having been in military, I don't know what the title of the man or woman I would be looking for to address, or at least knock on the door and say, could you please hear my case and let me explain what's going on, and can you please help me? I just don't know the name of the title, so I was hoping maybe you could provide that. Thank you. I yield.
Would that be the Adjutant General of the state of Michigan? Possibly.
The Adjutant General?
Adjutant General or their JAG service. You would want to talk to I would probably start at like a lieutenant colonel and work my way up from there.
Well, your county sheriff would reach out to your militia commander and advise to then reach out to the provost marshal, wherever they are at that point. Then you have a kind of a chain of custody and people aware of your situation. And that ties everything together. But it starts with the sheriff. Everything has to show. When you have concerns, you reach out to your sheriff.
Yeah, so we might have a provost marshal here, which we do. I spoke to him about 2 years ago. I'm not sure that every state actually has an acting provost marshal. So that's a point that we would probably need to address.
Right. Well, we have some work to do. We have to be able to answer these questions more satisfactorily. I don't like to know that people's estate is being stolen right from underneath them. It's pretty traumatic. I don't know what's had brought it to that point. That's another need to know, I guess. But for sure, I'm envisioning if that was to ever happen to my family, what contingencies I would have in place to at least vacate temporarily and try to move forward from there. And then, of course, reach out to my state and certainly local general assemblies and provide them what is needed for them to make a change from their vantage point on the public record as their presentments. Because without, if I'm outmatched or anybody else is outmatched, that's kind of what's to be expected at the moment. Without our general assemblies, we cannot move forward very far. And certainly our declarations of peace is falling on deaf ears. Mm-hmm. We need those courts. Absolutely.
Darren has his hand up. Darren, you want to go ahead?
Go ahead, Darren.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Kimberly, and everybody else that's pushing back against the tyranny. It's a difficult situation. My question was, is there somewhere a graphic or a text document that outlines the officers, particularly, I guess I'm interested in the peacekeeping officers, but also the militia officers? I'm sort of listening through videos and that sort of thing. I keep hearing new terms, or what to me are new terms coming up, and I'm a little bit lost as to what the actual structure is, and particularly given the structure is different between the county assembly and the state assembly. And I was hoping there might be something that might help give some clarity on that.
Do you mean state and county peacekeepers?
Yeah, but also the how that ties into the federation peacekeepers as well, so the marshals and that sort of thing. And so just trying to get some clarity. I thought if there was a pictorial overview, that would be helpful, but even a text document that outlines what they are and what their roles are, that would be wonderful.
I'm going to put that on my list. Let me get out my to-do list. That's a good one. I like mind maps. Thanks, Darren. That's easy to do too. We can put that together for sure.
Wonderful.
And the Continental Marshals, the Continental Marshals has a diagram of how their chieftain are structured. So,
okay.
All right, let me get that. Good point.
Right. Thank you. Are you?
Okay, we're a little bit over, but I was absent for about 15 minutes. So though, if you guys want to stay a little bit longer, since this is our last segment for 10 weeks. It was Darren that asked for that, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. The floor is open to everybody.
Go ahead,
Joe,
Annette.
could I just take 1 minute?
Okay.
This is from Giles King. He is our chairman of our Florida Jural Assembly. He's he's authored books and stuff. So and he's on the National Task Force too. But anyway, he says, and this is from the Constitutional Enforcement Seminar. He said, all these men and women working as peacekeepers are soil and/or land jurisdiction elected officials or officers. Some are volunteers, some are paid, and hopefully more will be paid in the future. Actual sheriffs are elected by state citizens. Actual deputies are deputized by the sheriff, and in bold letters, the state militias are populated as part of the state assembly process, may be employed on a state and local basis for peacekeeping activities, including making citizens arrests when necessary. The more common role of state militia is to support the local county sheriffs as deputies when local manpower resources are tapped out or unavailable. And it's not that these things are unknown or we haven't talked about them, but it's always good to hear it from another source. I yield.
Excellent.
Okay, Annette, go ahead.
Thank you. My question is kind of along the same as Michigan. So when are we going to be in a position that we say, I know on Florida we have over 3,000 constitutional sheriffs. When are we going to be in a position that we say to them, you need to back down and or protect the men and women and their assets as they have or as they're doing all their retraining, right? When are we going to have that, you guys, whoever it is that does that, it says that, when is that going to be coming to fruition, or is that something that is ever going to be as this de facto government falls?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that without controversy standing in the way of the good-hearted men and women, Americans and Floridians or any other state, when the system that exists now, which is it's pretty bloodthirsty. I mean, it's really, really cut and dry. If you try to justify its bloodthirstiness, I ration that their existence this is how they treat their U.S. citizens. To the extent, and if they could argue this, they could convince me. This is how we treat our subjects and our constituency, so that we can get them out of your way, so that you can provide a service that is comparative to us, that provides that what we offer, that is separate of jurisdictions, and that we us together help provide the services that are available, just short of anarchy, just short of civil unrest. But if you have assembly members who are entangled, they themselves cannot really provide the opportunity to provide that assistance or that parallel across the jurisdictions, running parallel, not combining them and not obstructing them or not abrogating those de facto services. They have a role to play. but there is a contingency to that as well. Those who do have issues. Oop, what was that?
I don't know, hang on, I'll look. It's just a hot mic. I'll go ahead and
Well,
find
those who do have controversies and have been run through the courts but have more or less survived can then take their wounds and their lack of remedy, if it's a victimless crime, pick themselves up, realize what they have and realize what they've lost in the moment. Take that to your juror assemblies, take that to your litigation, allow them to then examine those pains that you've suffered, because it's their job. Now they have something that they can examine and they can say enough is enough because of these atrocities. We will make the difference. So from the unfortunate gives your county and state courts the opportunity to make the difference. When their courts are stacked against the individual men and women, no matter what their capacity is, no matter what their status is, that is their lifeblood.
May I, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to describe a little bit what phase 3 is in the Resurgence Project, because we will be handling that particular element in the phase 3. That's when I was asking for militia commanders, county sheriffs, continental marshals, what else is in there, to come to the meeting on not this Sunday, but next Sunday, so we can get prepared for phase 3. Phase 3 is a 3-step phase, whereas the militia commander and the liaison, that always it's the liaison. The militia
very
commander,
company you're keeping right now, Louise. It's all right.
So they are our first string to address the county sheriffs on what their responsibilities are, to address the governors on what they're supposed to be doing as far as raising that peace flag and putting the billboard on the yard saying correct your political status, and letting them know that there's a transference of government and authority going on right now, and this is what we need you to do, and this is how you need to assist us in getting that done peaceably for the American public. So that first string is going out to do that, but we have to prepare to do that, and that's what these meetings are for. I'm going to start the training part on phase 3 next Sunday. So I need all our peacekeepers there so we can brainstorm and strategize how we are going to do that we need to get done, what you described there, and that. After that particular first string go in, we'll decide, well, when is it time for us to go to the next string? The next string would be the county sheriffs. The county sheriffs got to go out there to their counterparts, the de facto county sheriffs, and make that connection. Say, hey, I'm the county sheriff for the American government. Constitutional sheriffs, they're supposed to be our constitutional sheriffs. We sent out those sheriff notices. So this is when we start communicating, saying, okay, well, we need, if there's some more retraining that needs to go on, or is there something that Boyd can tell us, oh, we need to hire this training company to do this training for constitutional sheriffs, however that needs to go. That's what these meetings are going to be talking about, that I'm starting next week. So that's our second string. Our county sheriffs got to network with their county sheriffs so we can all get on the same page, so that when these things like it's happening to our people, we're going to be able to call on their county sheriffs to assist our county sheriffs to get this crime stopped. And then after that string of people, if the de facto does not capitulate or cooperate peaceably, then we might have to call in our continental marshals and start handing out presentments or indictments. Of course, we don't have the jails or all that other kind of stuff to put people in, but to start the presentments, we can start taking names and letting the public know this. And this is another strategy that we need to hone in on. The American public is the pressure. We need to be letting the public know that these people in these offices, corporate offices, are the ones who are stealing and taking your rights away. You, American public, need to start standing up. And this is how you need to do it. Then we, as the assemblies, when they're out there doing their public meetings, they're going to be out there telling the American public what has been done to them and how we need to correct it. So there's a declaration that I wrote up, a declaration and criminal information notice that I wrote up that the assemblies are going to be handing to the American public as we are telling them, you are American. You need to declare your status as such. And then this is what you need to do. Send this affidavit, send with an affidavit to let them know you're not part of this criminal trafficking that's going on. Let these elected officials know that this is the crime and this is what needs to be done to correct it. And all of this pressure is going on in the public meetings while the pressure is going on with the de facto elected officials on this side. So the phase 1 and 2 with the county assemblies, the state assemblies, they're doing their part with the public to inform the public. Then the peacekeepers in phase 3 are doing their part to hold the elected officials' feet to the fire on what they need to do to assist us in making this transition of control back to the American government and stopping the crimes being perpetrated on the Americans. Then there's another level to it where the directorate has to get our part in communicating with Trump and the military and to the Department of State and Department of Justice. That's where we come in at. So we'll be working that part while everybody else is doing their part. So we have to come at this at all different angles. We're going to get there. I yield.
Amen. Thank you. We need 1,000 of you, Louise. Thank you for answering that so well. I appreciate it. And I yield.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Hey, I spoke too soon, and I looked down here and I saw Anita, someone else on my assembly, who texted me. But anyway, I just messaged you. I'm going to give you my number here. Go ahead and call me. You said you have two more radios that you need.
Yes, I got one of the 3.
Okay, yeah, I need to track that down. I'll just touch base with you after the call here, and we'll try to find that track that down, that order. And then I'll get with Kathy. By the way, everybody, the last thing we can talk about, at least I have to step away. Christopher, Darren, if you guys have anything. We had our interview on Tammy's podcast, and it's available now. So if you go to, when you have time, it's a 2-hour interview. Hopefully it's uplifting for everybody. And if you haven't had your interview or your assembly with Tammy, we encourage you to do that. We're just about at half, 25 or 26 states, including Australia. So enjoy. Provide comments there. We hope to get all of the rest of the assemblies interviewed there and share that same yearning to show the world where our assemblies are. Okay.
Joe, we have 3 more questions and then we should wrap it
Okay.
up. Christopher?
No, yeah, I was just wanting to say I can't say more than enough that I agree with you that we need to get our courts up, not so much on the state as well as the counties as well, because that's where the rubber meets the road, is at the county level. And so I just wanted, and then I wanted to kind of respond to I forgot the guy's name, but as far as I understood it, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're supposed to be doing the same thing at the county level as we do at the state level, right?
Not everything. Again,
Well,
your
like-
assembly militia pillar, yeah, that you want to provide that. Since we are talking about counties, you want to have a sheriff, Nita Reeve,
Right.
that is ready to stand and proclaim peace beyond themselves.
Right,
So
but
they
I
have
was
no
talking about like the
controversy.
marshal at arms. You were talking about the marshal at arms. How there should be a marshal at arms on the county level as well as.
Yeah, I don't see in my mind, I'm just me, and I don't have a county assembly really much to speak of. But you have to have somebody in your general meeting space that provides decorum. Your sheriff is guarding your county and their deputies. So I don't see why that would fit in an internal meeting space. There would have to be a marshal at arms of some sort.
We'll have to figure that one out. Yeah, that's something we'll have to ask Anna, because even the marshal at arms, they're there needs to be changed into a sergeant at arms. So it's not that marshal at arms is like a federation thing, right? And the sergeant at arms kind of takes over. So what is that on a county? So none of that really fits on a county.
Okay. Adam?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I forgot to report that I'm about 3/4 of the way complete with my website for the Peacekeepers Sheriff's Organization. I got a little bit more bugs to work out. I sent a couple screenshots, I believe, out to Louise and Andrew. But I'm waiting to get linked up with this guy to see, what type of template they have, what programs they're running, and if it's compatible. If that works out, I should be able to be up with that site with a bunch of links and informationals, and there's all types of stuff already hooked up to it. So you'll be able to get our initiative, our different types of resources and outreach, bunch of education for all the different de facto agencies to come and peruse at their leisure. And it's just another tool that we can use.
Okay, so I see, I'm just gonna share Adam, what Adam's providing, plus I see his headgear. That would be a sheriff headgear to me. So what he's sharing, if that's true, then what he's sharing with everybody here as liaisons, that bit of information you would share with your General Assembly through your future Public Safety Committee as part of it through your Assembly militias. That way everybody can say, well, soon all of our county reeves can begin to talk with each other and share information nationwide, internationally, coast to coast.
Right.
So
I'm looking to have a meeting with
Adam's not sharing that with PKTF. He's sharing it with all of you as liaisons. Yeah.
Right. Just putting it out there. I'm looking forward to linking with everybody at the national level, so that way we can have a nice Zoom call and share, get to know each other.
Yeah, and as far as a correspondence or a networking counterpart, what Adam is referring to is what the National Sheriff's Association offers themselves nationwide. So it's very similar. So
yep.
Wonderful.
I'll yield on that.
That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. Well, what a great way to now take 10 weeks off so we can regroup, come back in the fall and prepare to share again. All right. Hopefully we can hear some Jural Assemblies success, some assemblies having stood up their Jural Assembly and have gone through the process of nullifying whatever's standing in the way of remedy. Wouldn't that be wonderful? All right. That's all I have.
Thanks, everyone.
Kathy?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Renee, I see your message there. I will send you an email, okay, and with some information. So thanks, everybody, and I'll be sending out some correspondence regarding the next meeting and maybe some documents in the during our break that for you to go through. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.